some of the.
Okay, we're on.
I probably still have some of those cards, the amber and crystal, somewhere. I must. Most of the stuff. I mean, I gave the last booster box I had to Mike. He did when they did the Scooby-Doo interview.
You know, it's fascinating. I think Jonathan got one of these, and then right after he bought it, somebody put another one up. I had never seen a single one until that one went up that he got. But they do have some still around. They do have some Alien Expansion booster boxes still around sealed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have. I know John's got that one, and I've bought two, and man, they're crazy now. John, what was yours? $250?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I paid for mine too. My last one, they're $250.
And it is fascinating because I had shown Jonathan a picture. I guess Potomac Distribution bought a bundle of them because they were going for $19 per box.
Yeah.
And then now they're $250. It's incredible, but it's also, I think that it's gotten a lot more popular, not just since COVID, but recently. There's a couple of people, like there was a guy on Reddit asking about Scooby-Doo, if anybody plays it. And so it's like the community hasn't been brought together, kind of how X-Files was just all over the place and then everything got brought together.
Huh. I'm just really surprised that anybody can even find product for it. I don't know what actually got out there originally. I mean, they made the original edition. They made enough because it was supposed to be sold at Walmart, and they made enough to sell at a big box store. Well, they lost that contract, and there was just a bunch of it sitting in the warehouse. You know, I don't know. Is that warehouse empty? You go to Cincinnati and see if you can get in there in that building.
Well, I know Mike bought all the X-Files stuff that was sitting there, and he now has everything they didn't destroy of the X-Files stuff. He bought it, and he has it in Lexington, Kentucky, which is only about an hour south of Cincinnati, actually. And he did the Voyager promotions with them. He basically cut a deal. It's like, hey, pay me in product, you don't have to give me, you don't have to pay me anything. I'll move this stuff just for the product. And he got at least I think he got a semi truckload of X-Files stuff. And he really, I lived in Lexington, Kentucky too. And I knew Mike and stuff like that. So I was privy to it a little more than a lot of people are. But yeah, he still got a lot of that, and it was a lot of that unreleased stuff, like the deck boxes and the play mats, and
right.
A lot of stuff that was intended to be released but never was. And he still got a lot of that for sale on his eBay store. I don't think anybody's ever done that with the Scooby-Doo stuff. Like he actually said there was some X-Files. It was meant to be like a starter deck with some booster packs combined kind of thing. And he said they destroyed that the week before he got up there to, get the stuff that he got.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure at this point they probably destroyed all the Scooby-Doo stuff if nobody else came up there and got that, or they sold it to somebody. If they did, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, they sold it to somebody. I have no idea, but I don't think they did. From what Dave May told me, is they destroyed it all. So he was more privy to that part of it than I was. I was just a game designer, where he was like the head of the department at the time. So,
you know what's fascinating about that is that right before COVID, Ollie's bought warehouses. And inside of it was a supposedly destroyed Decipher product. And they went in, and it was so many warehouses full of, actually have a bunch here. It was like Dot Hack Enemy, Wars TCG, the Austin Towers TCG, old Star Trek stuff that they had a bunch of. And they put it into there, and you can get a box of the white border Star Trek for $2.99 a box at Ollie's. And so I'm wondering if maybe they did not destroy that. It actually is somewhere in a warehouse sitting around. And that'd be a fascinating find.
Yeah, I don't. I have a feeling it's not, but yeah, yeah. When back, I lived in Tennessee for a short time a couple years ago, and was heading to Ollie's and getting the stuff like the Austin Powers and the Teen Titans and stuff like that. Yeah, but
Yeah,
Now it's all Marvel stuff at all. It's,
yeah.
That's all they have now.
I guess we should probably introduce before we go any further the creator of the Scooby-Doo CCG, Mr. Brian Woodward, which I appreciate immensely you coming on and talking to us, because I know Jonathan and I have some questions that I've seen a couple of interviews with you, and most of that Mike and Matt did not answer these. One of which we kind of talked about beforehand, which was the Alien promo, which still is kind of interesting because I don't think you even actually know where they wound up, because I've
no,
never
like
seen
I
them
said,
in a
I
while
thought
anyway.
that they were all supposed to be box toppers from what they initially what they told us. But I mean, it's possible that either people, because you can shrink wrapping for salespeople is easy, so they could have just take the shrink wrap off, take the promo, and then put the shrink wrap back on, and still sell the box for $250, evidently.
Evidently.
Yeah. But
and it's funny because these did the Crystal and Amber pop-ups did come with the boxes.
okay, but not the foils.
No, they have the two pop-ups.
They were
copies.
Yep, they were in the boxes, but when you opened them,
Yeah,
right,
like on top of the packs, they were not between the box and the
shrink wrap, right?
Yep.
And then they also had 4 copies of the comic book in the boxes as well.
In the box,
which was interesting because those were going for $69 a pop for a while.
Were they really?
Yeah. All that stuff became so, like you said, they destroyed it, and it's so unfortunate because it's just so scarce that finding an Alien booster is nigh impossible. 2 that have come up. Jonathan got one, and I got one, and I have not seen any before since. So it's crazy.
Yeah, building these sets is incredibly difficult. I've got it. Yeah. I got the whole original stuff done, and I need 6 more cards to get the Alien expansion done. But then plus the promos, which no one has. They're unheard of.
I didn't realize that the promos weren't in the stuff. See, I thought that like the Make Like a Bird and stuff like that, I thought those were actually in the booster packs. Like in and it would make sense that the foils were for in the original set, right? The Scooby and Shaggy and all those foils were in the booster packs.
Right.
So it would make sense that the Crystal and Amber would be in there too.
The foils are in the booster packs.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yep. And there's other foils. There's stuff. What was that one? What's the one about the
skeleton in the electric chair? There's Alien Scooby,
Redbeard, and Rattlesnake Scooby-Doo. I think that's one of them, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Those foils are in the boosters.
I don't even have those. I don't even have those.
First Sighting is a foil. Yeah. I remember that one specifically because I have the foil and I don't have the regular card.
Oh, okay.
I don't have.
It's really, that's one of the questions that I actually had for you also was, there were collation issues with X-Files that everybody knows the first set had a huge collation issue. Were there any issues with Scooby-Doo that you know of?
Not that I know of, because they learned their lessons from when they did the X-Files. I mean, they knew what they were doing beforehand because, I mean, USPC had printed magic cards, before they did X-Files. So they knew how to collate. They knew what they were supposed to do. They just didn't do it. I don't know if someone got lazy or what happened, but they messed that up big time with the green boxes of X-Files. As far as I know, Scooby-Doo didn't have that problem. It wasn't as much of a collectible card game as much. I mean, it was a little bit, but it wasn't as much because you can actually play it out of the two people could play from one deck, right? You had enough people to do that.
The starter decks were made to play for two people straight
Right.
out to be able to play without anything else.
Right.
And we've actually played. Me and David Peace, we actually have played that way. We've done that once or twice. We actually played it. And plays
the extra, the promo decks, those were the same deck of cards, but just they were in a specific order so that when we play tested them, they would play in a specific way against each other. So those are all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, the white border playtest decks. Yes, there were two.
Yeah, playtest decks. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're actually both have the same cards in them. They just are in a different order.
So here's another question I have. So Iron Maiden is only available as a promo. Was that purposeful?
Okay, yeah, you're asking me questions that I don't remember. I didn't know that was only a promo. That was another one that was a takeoff on a Magic card. Which card was that?
So
I can't remember.
So it's one of the Alien promos that nobody can find, but it was available in the demo deck. It is. Let me pull it out. Play the Iron Man on a location. Flip card into the air from a height of at least 1 foot. Villain player moves any Mystery Inc. members on which it lands to a new location. You must discard the Iron Maiden use the ability. That's Alien Harvester, right? Is that what that is?
Oh,
you flip the card and it lands.
It might be, but there's one in Magic the Gathering that's like that. That's what we got the idea from.
From the Infinity one, yeah, Chaos Orb, whatever it was, where you drop
Chaos
it,
Orb,
you
yeah,
rip
that's
it up.
something.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I remember some of the guys actually showing some of the collation trays that they had to do the X-Files stuff. They had Magic on them, and they used the same collation trays at USPC to collate a lot of the X-Files stuff.
Yeah. Well,
that's kind of neat that they overlap that way.
Yeah, they still didn't. They still didn't do it right, but whatever. At least.
Also.
Go ahead.
So also, you might know this when the Age of Empire backing of the Scooby-Doo card.
Yeah.
That was just they were trying to save money, right? Is that what the deal was with that?
Oh yeah, that was just for demo purposes. Yeah. See the printing, to see whether how the printing process worked for the different cards. So I have some of those too. I actually have some something that they used to make were bicycle playing cards with just the blue or the red backs but blank fronts. So they would just do that for the test and see how the cutting process and testing for all different kinds of things.
So they had those kind of like blanks, and they just had a lot of them, and it was like, oh, we got this stuff, let's throw it on there and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So we don't have to print both sides. We've already got these ready to go. Just throw it out there and play with those and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm guessing Age of Empires is probably even more difficult to find than Scooby-Doo.
I haven't collected Age of Empires, but from what I've seen, it is extremely expensive to collect.
Yes.
That's what I hear.
Yep. It's funny because those backs are more expensive. Like the Age of Empires stuff is so much more expensive. A starter deck is about 100, 150.
Wow.
And like a booster pack, if you can find for the ocean one, I forget what it's called, those are going for like $100 for a pack. It's like a
Oh,
regular booster.
yeah, that was the last one. That one, I don't know if that actually got released or not. Yeah.
Apparently
lot of
some
that
did
stuff.
because somebody has them somewhere. Because I remember seeing, actually the same place I got these demo decks. That guy had an Age of Empires lot. I'm guessing what he said he did was he traded his card game for other people at Gen Con or whatever. And so he got some of the Scooby-Doo Gen Con decks. He got Age of Empires stuff, and that's where he got some of those boosters. So it might not have actually made it, but
that guy, I remember that guy. It was on
so
eBay.
that would make a bunch
I
of
was
sense.
hitting on the same thing. That guy had an incredible amount of stuff. He had something. Would you end up getting like 5 of each of the demo decks, something like that? It was a lot. Like he had a lot of Scooby-Doo demo decks, and
Yeah,
really rare.
it's 3 of each. Yeah, it's 3 of each. A bundle of the comics, some of the foils, a couple of packs, and a couple of the decks.
Yeah,
So altogether, it was a preposterous amount of stuff, especially hard to find shit. I couldn't believe that.
The one cool thing I have for the comic book is I have the full-sized.
Oh, really?
That's autographed by the guys that did the art on it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
I didn't know there was a full size.
There was just the one.
Just the one.
Yeah, as far as I know, then unless they catch some at DC themselves, but they made one for me as a thank you for working with us kind of thing. So
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions I also had was as far as like relics or whatever, because like the Age of Empire back ones are one. Lynette from I guess she did the art for the stuff. She has a bunch of pre-production things where there's different art for the front of the cards and all. Did any of those ever get printed out that you know
of? Not as cards, just on 8.5, by 11 paper, just on paper. Oh. We would print them up and then see, that was the one that had all those different designs, like the backgrounds had different symbols and stuff, depending on what kind of card it was. That's one of the things we were looking at originally. If anybody would have had something like that other than Lynette, it would have been Todd. Because he's the one that did a lot of those designs initially. He taught himself how to use the programs and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how to use the different art programs. He did that all. He wanted to be involved in the stuff. He wasn't originally. It was the only person that was doing Scooby-Doo originally was me, and then he kept saying, coming up with ideas, or playing intermediary between myself and Dave, and finally got himself on the project, and we worked together really well. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to let it go.
No, he wasn't going to let it. He got himself and taught himself a lot of the stuff in that company. He worked for after they disbanded Journeyman Press. He worked for the USPC for a little bit afterwards, doing stuff for them. I don't something to do with collation and cards. I'm not sure exactly what his job was.
That was the reason I asked about the collation was, so I bought a case of these. These are the 12, the booster packs, but they have like the back on them, the blister pack. So I bought a case of these blister packs. Somebody bought somewhere those warehouse things went, because a person I know had like 40 of them.
Oh,
and so I bought a bunch of these boxes, and it took me like 8 of them to get a full set. But the only card I was missing that Jonathan actually sent me was Jack in the Box, which was a common. And I could not believe that out of 8 of those, there was no common Jack in the Box, but I have like 40 of other cards. So I wasn't sure if it was something.
And there was people other than us that had insider friends or family or whatever So, because I know with the X-Files, there was this guy in Montana that would have ultra rares and stuff like that I thought that no one had access to, and he would get have a bunch of them for trade or sale or something like that. So it probably was the same thing with Scooby-Doo. There's probably people that went in there and knew that it wasn't going anywhere, or it could have been after, we were disbanded and the stuff was still in the warehouse. They may have even just given it to some of the employees. Here, you want this junk? We're going to throw it away. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Lynette has a couple of these little ad slicks and everything, which I think she made. I think it was like 3 or 4. One was for the Alien one. One was before it came out, and then one says available now for the game.
All the ad slicks I have are for Scooby-Doo itself, not in relation to the game, but just stuff that Warner Brothers gave us to prove that Scooby-Doo can sell.
Interesting. And that's what sucks. I actually made a video of this. So I do some social media videos, and so I have one on the X-Files that's up right now, and I have one for Scooby-Doo that I'm about to drop. And one of the things that I talk about with it is K&B, and nobody knows what K&B is. Basically, Rite Aid bought them out. But I went in 2000, 2001, whatever it was, and they were literally at the drugstore is where I found a deck and some booster packs. And so I always thought it was Walmart until I had seen that Walmart dropped it. And I was like, where the hell did I get this? And then I remembered that it was a drugstore. So I can imagine if the Scooby-Doo products from drugstores, they're probably not going to sell that well because most people aren't going there to buy Scooby-Doo card games.
Yeah, it was mainly made for it was supposed to be situated to go towards kids, like a family game, as compared to stuff like X-Files or Magic or whatever, which is more of an adult population that was shooting for. And K&B may have been one of the ones that actually did buy some of the stuff. Who knows? I mean, they had, when they were still K&B, they had all the toys and everything on discount and stuff like that. So very well could have had Scooby-Doo card product too.
That makes sense. I have one other question before Jonathan, if you have any, which is, so this is a gaming question, or I guess a play question. So in the rules, it says 60 card deck. Nowhere in because they had a little side rule or appendix or whatever it's called, addendum, in the Alien one, and it never mentions anything besides that. Just because of the wording, is it 60 cards or a minimum of 60 cards for the deck?
It's supposed to be just 60 cards.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I played a game with Steven actually, and everybody's kind of going to the assumption that it's more than 60, but I'm like, and I will give you all credit. There's no X-Files issues here. The verbiage is perfect on the actual rules and in the addendum. So there's no kind of leeway, but no, it says your 60 card deck. And so I was going, that sounds like it means 60 cards, not more than 60 cards. So that's good to know. Okay. And then there's another one. Do you know why this would happen? If this just is there's in the Alien card game, Simba the Lion. I don't know if you can even see this. I'm going to have to turn off my blur. Simba the Lion, you see that? That lettering is very odd. Do you know, was that, and there's a couple of them in the Alien ones that have this weird lettering.
Do you know the font or?
The font. Do you know if that was just like would be a mistake, or if that's something that just, like Clown House has the same odd font? It's only a handful of them. And I was just looking, and it looks like, do you know if that would have just been a Russian kind of issue, or why that would be? It
may have been an error, and it may also have been something that we thought about. I know that we wanted to do something like X-Files did with the original edition with the contest, was with words and stuff like that. We were wanting to do something like that. I don't know if that was something that maybe some of the cards got through with the fonts that were still changed and they didn't change them.
That's interesting.
Maybe just something that got through. I'm sorry? What did you say?
What'd you say, John?
Oh no, sorry. So there was so there was going to be a contest.
Yeah, we were going to have a contest, and I don't remember what the prize would have been or anything like that. I mean, that was like early stages, just something else to get people to buy the product, because we wanted to. Only reason we did Alien Invasion is because that was the new movie that just came out or was coming out, and they wanted that as the advertisement. Warner Brothers saying, this is what we're coming out with, because we wanted to do the next series, the new Scooby-Doo movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was they told us was the contracts. We couldn't do those because we would have been stuck with only the characters that Warner Brothers owned, which would have been Batman and I think Speed Buggy, right? Was that in that?
I believe so. So like they wouldn't be able to use the Harlem Globetrotters or something like that.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to use the Harlem Globetrotters and Three Stooges and all that stuff, Don Knotts. None of those would have been available.
The movies on behind me are actually the Scooby-Doo movies, except, and for the same reasons you're talking about, the Addams Family one. That episode is not included because whenever they brought out this 50th anniversary DVD, they don't have the rights to it, whoever brought this out. But
yeah, when they originally did the contracts, what they were telling us is that it didn't have anything other than for the cartoon. So they didn't have the rights to anything other than their likeness in the cartoon. And if they wanted to use for anything else, they would have had to, do those contracts.
Right. Speed Buggy is one of them in here, though.
Oh, Speed Buggy is in there. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then,
Hanna-Barbera, whatever they had, if there was something like that in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. There would have been so much. There would have been so much cool stuff, not just from that, but for all the later cartoons that they made. Things we could have had from there. But
so the first series is, I think, was the first 6 episodes, and then Alien Invaders is like the rest of Where Are You and 25 of the Alien cards. Is that what it is?
Is it only the first 6?
I remember you talking about it before. I can't remember if it was the first 6 or the first season. Because each season.
I think it was the first season. It was the first season because the mysteries are what you're.
The clues. Yes.
Yeah, the clues. Yeah, so that's what you're turning over and each of those are one of the episodes. So.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's when I think we mentioned that in there too when we were doing that. We had a guy that we worked with that was pulling the different frames of the film off, so we can make the cards. And when they sent us the videos, they actually left off the last 3 minutes of every single episode.
Jeez. So
when we said, okay, well, we need those because that's the unmasking. Okay, we need the end of the episode. So they sent us one VHS that had all of those endings on it. And we're like, okay, thanks. That's not exactly what we wanted. We wanted another complete thing, but whatever. Okay. So that's kind kind of skewed what we used for pictures and stuff in there. I think that's still the only game that ever had stuff from the cartoons in there. It was all the other stuff that when you buy decks of cards or games or whatever, all it is the standard art from their art book. It's nothing from the cartoons itself. And the fact that they let us do stuff like, Where's My Mouth and stuff like that with Shaggy and, stuff like that. You wouldn't, I don't think they would even let you do that today. I have a feeling they would make you use the stuff that looks good and not just the stuff that showed when they filmed it was all 1.5 frames or whatever,
Right. Oh, that must have been incredibly difficult. It's not like, the internet now. You just search a scene or you zip through it and then you freeze frame it and then there it is. You had to, I remember, pausing things on a VHS tape back in the day. That's, catching that right and getting it to look halfway decent. That's not an easy thing to do. Yeah,
that's all we did. We sat there. We sat there. Hard job. We had to sit there and watch Scooby-Doo cartoons all day. And pausing different sections. Okay, write down what this frame is, and give that to the guy.
Wow,
that was funny. Yeah, that was they. And they did the same thing with the the Alien Invasion cartoon. They gave us full version of that to do the same thing with. But with those, the Crystal and Amber, you could tell those are from the art book and not from the cartoon.
Right. Did you guys ever work on any other expansions beyond those two, beyond the original and the Alien expansion? Did you ever, start on anything else and work on it and then it just got canned, or was the Alien thing, was that it?
Alien was it. That was the last one. They canned the whole department pretty soon after that, I think. They kind of, I think they let it, the reason they let it be published is so they can write it off as a loss, and there was, like I said, there was other stuff we wanted to do, and there was other stuff I wanted to do with Warner Brothers. They flew me out to look at the Harry Potter, the original movie script.
Oh wow!
The work on that, and and then I have some paperwork that showed that we were talking to them about, doing stuff with, the Warner Brothers, the Looney Tunes and stuff like that. But, nothing ever went anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah,
with us anyway. It did WotC, I think, right? So.
Well,
that Harry Potter game came out, and that one's another one that's ridiculously expensive. Although I think GameStop found a bunch of boxes and now it's coming down, but so many games post-COVID just skyrocketed in popularity and in cost.
Yeah, popularity and people being stuck in their house wanting to play card games.
Do you remember what the
and Pokemon?
Yeah. Do you remember what the contest was going to be?
No, like I said, I thought it was going to be something along the lines like we did with the X-Files, with certain words and letters would be in a different font. So when you put them all together, it would give something. We would have an address. It was something that we thought about. There was a lot of things we thought about doing that were similar to the other ones, like putting the cards inside the magazines and stuff like that, like they did with other card games. And we just never, they never ended up doing that because it was supposed to be big box store, it was supposed to be Walmart, Target, that kind of stuff. And when that fell through, they just had a lot of stuff sitting in the warehouse. They had, and all the boxes of comic books they had, because I was the one that worked with DC. All the cases had my name on them. So that was another nail in my coffin, because it was just this this huge amount of money advertisement budget that was in. It's like, I didn't have the signature power to pay for that. It wasn't me that paid for that. Yes, it had my name on the boxes, but I had no way of saying, oh yeah, I signed this. We'll pay DC a couple $1 million for some comic books. Yeah,
sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to deal with any of that in anything other than very, very mass distribution.
Yeah. The amount of comics they had, man, they were just. I don't remember seeing cases of the cards, but I remember seeing cases of those comic books in the warehouse all the time. And it's just like, oh, geez, how many of these did we order?
That makes sense why there's 4 in each booster box of Alien expansion. If you just get rid of them.
Well, it was supposed to be another simple way of looking at the rules, for kids to look at it. So that is why they were in there. They were supposed to put stuff like that in advertisement with other stuff too, because back when E3 was still a thing, we went there, and the people that I'm trying to remember the name of the company that made the Scooby-Doo video games. It was like point and click games and stuff like that. We were doing advertisements with them and with Kid Rhino and stuff like that to advertise. So there's probably advertisement junk out there that was in a CD or something like that you probably will never find anymore.
Jonathan, where did David Peace get that that uncut sheet sort of thing, like the color test that he has?
I think that came from Dave May.
Gotcha.
Yep, pretty sure that came from Dave
May. Brian, do you know if there's any uncut sheets or anything actually slipped out at all?
Well, I know I don't have one.
Actually, I know.
Oh.
There are uncut sheets. Now the little sheet that David has, it's with the Age of Empires backing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That came from Dave May. Lynette has uncut regular card sheets, kind of like what Mike Mackey has of the X-Files uncut sheets. I don't know how many she has. I asked her if she'd sell me one, and she said she'd think about it. She hasn't told me yet if she actually would or give me a price. So they exist, but they're not common.
That makes sense. Especially if Dave May doesn't have, because he has so many random things from a lot of them.
Well, he's got a little bit of everything.
Hoards everything. He hoarded everything. He kept it all.
So I have a question, Brian. Because I'm from New Orleans, one of my favorite Scooby-Doo things was Zombie Island. What would you say if we kind of did something similar to what they have done with X-Files of trying to do some expansion set?
I think that'd be great. I'm surprised that no one has done that yet, since everybody jumped on that X-Files bandwagon. I think that started, of course, because I had a copy of the Scully expansion that never got released. So that's what jump started that, I think. So yeah, if you guys want to make your own cards, more power to you. They're kind of easy to do because it's just quotes and silliness from the shows. We wanted to make it so that it was stuff that you would see in the cartoon.
Yeah,
it's stuff that you could do in the game.
They're a lot less complicated than the X-Files cards.
Yeah.
So
the difference is, of course, being that there's locations within locations, right? You have the main Franken Castle, and then you have the branches off of that. That's the only major difference.
You said you had Scully expansion, you mean the playtest cards, right? Is that what you mean?
It wasn't even the play. It was the folio is the individual pages that they got the approval forms. It was the approval forms for all the cards.
Oh, did Dax get those from you, and then that's what he printed? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yep. Okay, I was just wanting to make sure it was something we knew of. I was like, oh, because at one point I thought, did an actual set of those cards get printed, and I don't think that happened. But yeah, okay, so that's what Dax got, and he had. Yeah. We sent to China, and they printed it for us.
Yeah, I think Dax actually had to redo the pictures because it was just black and white sheets with a copy of what the card looked like on there, and I think he had to go back and so he can get color pictures from each episode for all those different cards. Gotcha. I'm pretty sure. I think he put a lot of work into it.
He did. Yeah, Dax did a lot on that one, and then of course he on the back side he put that little Funko Pop thing on it to make it different, so that it wasn't a copyright violation thing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. I would love to do it with the Scooby-Doo stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing like that at all for Scooby-Doo. We didn't have another set or anything like that we had worked on. Just pie in the sky ideas of what we wanted to do. Todd and I were able to go through the stuff pretty quickly. You can imagine the company itself was only around for 20 months, I think. And we started January 2000, and we had product out that same year. So in time for what, Gen Con?
That's back when people had work ethic. Today it's 10 years.
Yeah, probably when stuff on licensing was a lot easier. Because Warner Brothers was, I've said this a few times, they were great to work with. They were really easy to get the approvals and everything for. They just. I don't think there was anything that came back that they said, no, you can't do that. Other than if it was, like I said, the new movies or whatever.
Stuff they just didn't have the copyright license to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which was a lot different than the X-Files from what I'm told. Apparently 1013 was very difficult.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason that they X-Files went under, is just because of the disagreements between the two that they had between the company USPC and 1013. Yeah, that was a big issue.
That's unfortunate because my understanding is the product sold well.
Oh, it did. Yeah, we sold a decent amount of Scooby-Doo for not being in regular stores, but X-Files. Yeah, X-Files sold better than just about any CCG at the time. Because of the name, just everybody,
the clarity of the show.
Yeah, the name recognition of the show and everything. But yeah, they had problems. The reason those pewter cards are so rare is because they kept getting kicked back because the agents for the actors didn't like how they looked. His eye doesn't look right on this, or his jaw's not exactly correct, or whatever, things like that.
Brian, do you have a pewter?
Huh?
Do you have a pewter?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Which one did you have? Did you have a Mulder or a Scully?
I had a Mulder.
Had a Mulder?
Yeah,
okay.
That's the one that Mike has now.
That's the one Mike's got. Okay, all right. I've held it in my hand.
Yeah, that's the one I had. I used to have. I had two, and years ago, I sold one on eBay for really next to nothing compared to what you guys are paying for booster boxes.
Wow.
And then I got Mike has the other ones, and he seemed to be making the museum for all the X-Files stuff,
Yeah.
So I have to ask. Well, I have to ask that because I remember in the Wikipedia page for the X-Files, it said that there before the computers got cracked down, that somebody had one on eBay, and that must have been you. But they never actually said how much did that go for?
I don't remember. I think it was only like $100 or something, 150.
Jesus Christ.
Was it a Scully or was it another Mulder?
It was a Mulder.
Okay.
Yeah, I had two Mulders. I just got lucky because I had someone gave me one, and then when everything closed up, Dave gave me another one. Not realizing I already had one, I guess. And so I had two, and I had that the last one just sitting there for so long. And I finally, anything I had X-Files wise is gone now. All my X-Files stuff is with Mike or someone else, all that stuff. Scooby-Doo, I still have some stuff. Like I said, I had that the full issue comic, the full size, I mean, and then I have
that's a neat
those cards. I must have some of those cards, like the Iron Maiden and stuff like that. And I just didn't realize those were promos. Didn't remember.
That's neat. That's a cool piece. Never knew that they made a full size.
Yeah.
Just for that, that's incredible. That's a really cool relic.
I can grab it real quick if you want to see it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a legit one of them. I'd never heard that they made that. I guess it makes sense. You make that and then shrink it down. But
that's so cool.
That is, and that's. I always thought that pewter went for crazy money, $100.
I remember what you're talking about. I thought that it said that somebody listed it and they didn't sell it because it had too many zeros. Do you remember anything like that? That's what I thought I read. Oh wow! Look at that.
Look at that.
What is get it in the camera shot there?
Oh yeah, I see it good. Yes.
And then we got the autographs in the bottom of it there. And
oh wow, that is so cool.
That is.
What a cool relic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were, like I said, DC and everything. They were really nice. I mean, they sent stuff to us at the time. They actually subscribed us to like all the comics that they were producing at the time.
Well,
so cool. we would get every week, we would get like a big bundle of one issue of everything that came out that week.
I used to pay a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, those 52 weeks subscriptions are crazy.
I remember at my local comic book store in Lexington, I didn't have every DC title, but it was like Superman. There was like 4 or 5 Superman titles, and there was like 4 or 5 Batman titles, and then a Green Lantern and a Wonder. If you wanted to follow the stories, they crossed them over all the time, so you kind of had to buy, a lot of it.
Right.
So I had like 20 of these things every week on Wednesday. You go in there and it's like, oh, we'll give you a 15% discount, if you get this many titles. But I remember it was a substantial amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah. And they even sent for Christmas one year, they sent me, I don't know if you remember seeing these, they had these box sets of, it had like the original, action figure of what the original Batman looked like, or the original Wonder Woman or something like that. And then it also had a copy of the original comic book and stuff like that.
Yeah. They remade the old like figures that they made back in like the 70s. Yeah, I remember when they did that. Yes, I remember those.
Yeah, they sent me the Batman one year. Yeah, exactly.
I remember those. Yes, that was cool. I remember those. Yep. I think I had some of the originals back in the day, like from the 70s. I don't know what happened to them, but
I used to have just tons of Scooby-Doo stuff too, but little by little, as I moved, they went somewhere else, got donated to somebody else, or I would always someone's kids. I'm like, you have kids, right? They like Scooby-Doo, don't they?
all kids love Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's funny
Even
because
even the adult kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually just found the stuff that I originally bought, and because I'm going through stuff right now, so there's like boxes around, and I was showing Steven, I opened up a box and it was like Illuminati, Mythos, and then a big chunk of Scooby-Doo. And I was like, I don't remember buying these, but apparently that's the stuff that I bought from 2000, and then they were in a box. I've just been moving from place to place, not
That's
realizing
cool.
it was in there.
So you found some old Scooby-Doo.
Too much stuff. John has too much stuff. If you ever see pictures of his room, Brian, well, he has too much stuff.
So the thing that I do right now is on, because so it's funny you had mentioned agents from the people doing that. That's what I do, and I'm actually holding up a major band's. I'm going to be holding up their next album because their lawyer will not get back to us. So I understand what those people were doing. But the social media thing I'm doing is I'm John Wood and I waste money on dumb shit, because that's the problem that I have is I waste money on dumb shit. It's never of anything like of any use. It's just like, oh yeah, I want to get, because in my mind it's like, sure, let's get 25 starter boxes. Like I have 25 of these guys, thinking that one of these days we're gonna have a sealed tournament. And then it's like, but then it never happens.
We are.
I'm all right. But even then, it's like, so because it has to be a person, like maybe the next Lexington one.
Well, that's why they.
That like.
I was gonna say, that's why they made that eBay game. Journeyman Press made the eBay game because of my eBay addiction. I was constantly buying stuff. There was almost every day it seemed like there was a package for me of some kind. I was rebuying my childhood, getting all these old games I used to buy. And then, of course, that's back when Toys R Us still existed too. So we're able to go to Toys R Us and buy stuff from there. So,
well,
man,
you could be stuck with my wife. She goes out and buys a $116,000 car. So you could be stuck with that.
That's more functional than some of a bunch of magic layer stuff.
It's like a car. I don't.
Yeah.
It goes from here to here.
Yeah.
Does it need to cost so much money?
I got to send you some of the cars. A buddy of mine lost his mind, and instead of buying old card games during COVID, he just started buying cars. And it's like, that's one of the things he bought, the Porsche that James Dean owned, the one that he crashed in. And I'm like, it's sitting, literally collecting dust in a warehouse. And I'm like, I thought I had a problem. And then you see actual that, it's like, no, okay, I don't feel as bad because I don't have Corvettes and old Mustangs and Cobras. Like an old 68 Cobra just sitting in I'm like, why is this like this?
Don't send that to me, man. That'll cost me a whole lot of money. Don't start sending me that stuff.
I can send you. I'll send you some pictures, man, because I need to help him get rid of him right now.
Don't do that.
but no, that's one of the things I wanted to ask Brian. If you can find those promos, by all means, let us know, because we have no idea where they are. But also because right now, Jonathan and I are doing the Voyager promo tournament for the X-Files, and it's for the Voyager promos for people who don't have them. So it's only 4 people because most of the people have them. But after that, I've been wanting to do a Scooby-Doo tournament so badly, and I've been waiting a long time because these tournaments take so long for people to schedule games and do them.
Yeah.
Last year's tournament started in like April or whatever it was, and I played the last game in December 21st or whatever it was. So it's a timing issue, and I have been wanting to do a Scooby-Doo tournament for so long. That's one of the reasons why I keep buying stuff and just letting it sit, because I can give away a lot of this, like the original promos that are like the little 5-card ones or whatever.
It's in that little plastic pack. It's got 2 cards that are not playable, and then the other cards are identical to the ones that come in the game. They're no different.
Yeah, and so I always assumed that the alien ones were the same thing. We just couldn't, but I guess they might not have ever gotten out. Is what it sounds like.
They may never have done it. The other person that would know probably, because like I said, the business side of it was Dave. So if you're in touch with Dave May, you might be able to. He might know the answer to that question.
That's good to know, because I
ask him. I talk to Dave every now and again.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, because there's so much you could do with that, because there's so many Scooby-Doo mysteries. Then when Scrappy shows up, whatever that one was called, and then they have the new movies, and then there's even newer ones since then. But there's so much that can be done with it, and it's relatively simple. So making some expansions would not be that hard, and especially now that you don't have to have a VCR fast forwarding, rewinding back and forth to find the screen. You can just look at the screen grab pretty easily.
Yeah.
That's and I mean, I just wanted to ask you before that, because I have been thinking for a while about the Zombie Island stuff I would do, because it's got a lot of, I mean, it's a Louisiana show. I'm just like, all right, this would be kind of fun to put in there.
All right. You guys got any other questions on the game, or?
I have gotten my biggest ones I've already asked out.
Let me think. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've forgotten. I've gotten everything I really wanted to know. Let me think. I just want to be sure. All right. This is just one throwing it out there. Whose idea was it to do the Scooby game to begin with? Do you know? You know that?
Probably someone in the higher ups in the company. They had different licenses, and it may have even come from Warner Brothers itself, saying, "Hey, can you do this?" I don't. The design of the game and everything, was all us, but they said, "Here, this is what you're going to be working on." So,
I'm pretty sure I know this, but I just just to confirm, it's pretty much based on X-Files, right?
It's based on the easy rules of X-Files that I did. I think Mike Mackey has a copy of those rules, but
really?
That's cool. We they hired me to make a family-friendly, easier version of the X-Files card game, and I wrote those rules, and then I think we based it off. We based it off of that. Yeah,
it seems when people ask me, I kind of said it's like X-Files CCG with less math. That's kind of the way I've kind of told people how it plays. If they know X-Files CCG, so it's.
Yeah, well, they used to make fun of us and call it Scooby Clue.
Scooby Clue. Well, a lot of people say X-Files CCG is like super advanced Clue. Yeah. They're like, it's like a super advanced version of Clue.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
With that question, I have one follow-up, which is, you said you didn't work on any other, any future expansions. Had you all thought about what y'all might be doing in the future?
Well, like I said, what we wanted to do was stuff from the new movies. So we were looking at maybe just doing the characters that we were allowed to do from those episodes. So, and then we also, the other plan was to do the next movie, whatever movie was coming out next. They were coming out with one every October, right? Mm-hmm. So we wanted to do whatever the next movie was. We thought every year we can make a movie expansion. That's what we wanted to do.
Were the clues ever going to change or get updated so that it was like more than 15?
There would be, but you wouldn't actually play a game with more than 15 of them.
Okay.
You would still only have 15 total clues to choose from.
That's good to know.
You just both have to have the same decks. So yeah, we wanted to make more of those. I like those too, because the frames they picked from the beginning of the episodes and stuff like that with the bats flying and everything. Okay. I love those.
Yeah. Yeah, the opening credit scenes are great on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, they did a really nice job with the screen captures and everything. The guy that worked on that, I don't even remember the guy's name. We outsourced it to somebody in Cincinnati, and we would go over to his office and give him this is the episode, these are the frames. He would have the original masters of all the different videos.
He must have had really good equipment. I used to be really big in home theater. I used to build home theaters and install them and stuff like that. And I was pretty much in that type of thing from probably VHS to Blu-ray, if that gives you kind of the range years that I was doing that. It was late 90s to 2000-ish, 3-ish, 4-ish, somewhere in there. And, no matter how good your VHS players were, anytime you hit pause and stuff, you had those, lines through it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It would have, I find it amazing that you guys could get such clear screenshots from that type of stuff. You must have spectacular equipment. They must have been.
Oh, yeah. The guy he was a professional. That's was his thing, pulling stuff, pictures from video.
Yeah. Because I remember when I did it, I used to use, $3,000 VHS players and even they weren't, completely clean, and they would kind of, do this kind of thing. They'd kind of shake or whatever. Nothing was ever perfect. So it was, that must've been some really high speed equipment he was using. That would have, that would have been incredible to see back in.
Like I said, especially with being able to do since they filmed at 1.5 frames on stuff. So again, the half frame stuff that we paused into there and everything. So he did a really good job. I wish I could remember who it was, but I don't remember.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions, and I immensely appreciate you jumping on here, because more than anything, that 60 card question answers so much, because I was like, I think I'm right, but I just want to make sure, because I don't want to run.
Are we playing this? Do we have to play it or not?
That was literally because whenever we made the game that I played against Steven, I was like, I have 60 cards. He's like, oh no, that's just a suggestion. I don't think it is, but we'll see. So it's a whole other level of challenge to try to figure out which cards to put in there, and it allows a lot more creativity, especially whenever you start getting into the expansions, because there's some really cool stuff with the Alien expansion that unfortunately didn't get released enough. So
yeah.
Much appreciated.
If you guys have other questions, you can always just text me a question or something like that too. Like I said, I hardly ever look at my email, so it's usually best to text, and I'll get to it. So
sure. Well, we appreciate
anything comes up on there.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate you giving us the time, and we appreciate you letting us send you those messages and stuff like that. And it's these games, it's a rare opportunity to speak to the guys that created them and really find out the thought process behind them, and a lot of us guys, I know I'm 45 years old, so when this stuff came out, I was in my early 20s. I was a young guy, and you don't really get to know or think about that stuff at that point. It's amazing to hear its history. It's the thought process behind it, and the type of things that it took to build it back then, because it's so different now. Now anybody can just jump on the internet and do these, grab these scenes easy. But compared to what it used to be, it's amazing it got done at all. to be honest.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's awesome to hear that process and hear how that thought process works and work through it. And we greatly appreciate you giving us your time to let us know and tell us about it. Thank you.
You're
Very much.
welcome. Yeah. Like I said, ask Dave May about the promos and stuff. He might have some answers that I don't, that he remembers. So
We definitely will.
Thank you.
All right.
It's an absolute honor to talk to you.
I appreciate it. You guys take care, and I hope you find some more stuff out there, maybe for a lot cheaper.
Hopefully, yes, $250.
All right, you take care.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Look at that.
Uh-huh. All right.
Did his recording work or no?
I ended the stream.
Because it says live 105.
Yeah, live. Yeah, I ended the live stream. As far as if
Okay.
it's all uploaded, I have no idea.
Why do we need to
This
say?
is the first one I've done. I don't know.
That might be completely lost, and it's all good. Yeah, no, I love things like that where you ask somebody questions that created it and they don't even know where that.
Yeah.
Always good. Where it's like, well, fuck, I guess the alien promos continue a mystery.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. I would say, well, between Dave May and Lynette and him and Brian, somebody knows.
That's one of those. I figured Dave, although from what I've heard, he's worse than my room as far as just like stuff piled on top of stuff in his garage. So there could be a whole pilot.
He's a hoarder. There's no other way to put it. He's a hoarder.
So that's good because maybe there's a whole bundle buried under there. Oh, that's where all the promos are.
Yeah.
In Dave May's garage. Because
can you believe Brian had 2 mobile computers?
When he said the 100, that broke my heart.
I don't believe that.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. But because I remember on Wikipedia they have to be talking about him when they say that one of them was up on eBay and somebody said that there was too many zeros. It scared them off.
Yes, that's what I saw. It was like
it
was too many zeros, and I'm like, well, $100 ain't too many zeros.
Unless it is the X-Files in 2005 and nobody or whatever remembered it, and $100 for one card.
I can't imagine. I mean, because no one so paranoid has never really. I mean, it's like $85 right now, but it's really always been in that $100 to $200 range.
I will tell you. I'll tell you this. I got my first, because I could not find one when it first came out. And whenever you're a kid and $50 is $50. Man, I got to work for that. I found one. The first one I got 4 of them, and they were $30 a piece.
Wow, that's a good deal.
And that was right before COVID hit.
Huh.
So because I was going through stuff just before COVID, and I was like, oh, X-Files. I wonder, I'm like just cleaning up shit. And I remembered that was the card that I hadn't gotten. And I looked it up because I was like, oh, maybe they have it on eBay, and they had them and they were $30. And sure, I'll pay $30. But I mean, within a year.
Oh yeah. I remember. So when I was younger, I collected all the X-Files cards. I got in touch with Mackie and got the stuff I didn't have and all that. And then, when I was in grad school doing all that garbage, I needed money. I sold everything I had. Sold all my comics, sold all my cards, everything. And I had a No One So Paranoid back then. I don't think I paid a lot of money for it. I don't remember what I paid, but I didn't. Now I've got, now I got a bunch of them. But several of the ones, the cheapest ones I've gotten, I've bought in comic card in lots, and people didn't know what it was. They're just like, here's a lot of cards, and I saw it, on the listing, and there it is. I was like, okay, I'm bidding on this because there's a No One So Paranoid. So I'm
just looking. I check and see. I think you still have it live because it says live on my end.
Let me see. In the stream. Well, I've hit in stream.
What in the world? Because it's on my end. It just keeps saying live.